So let's do a quick little mental review of what we've covered so far. We talked about the idea that we take our challenges and we lock them, and then we don't pay too much attention. We talked about the idea that sometimes we get into our game, we get into our way of seeing things, and we become completely convinced you're not here with us, or you're an enlightened master, and we all need to be learning from you. Well, we need to be learning from you anyway, because we're all here to learn from each other. So what's the point of having Steve and Eric here at that particular point? Does anyone know what I was trying to do yesterday?
To see where we can go.
To see where we can go? No. Almost just like that, but the opposite. In our cultures, in our Western cultures, and I'm not really that familiar with the Eastern because, or maybe this is going on over there as well, but our life expectancy right now, what number, according to Wikipedia? Number 29. Number 29. What's going on here? And every other thing that's kind of the sign of excess. And that concerns me a lot. That's on a macro scale, and I won't get up and start preaching at you, but I look down in film and everything else. And that's neat in one way because it allows us to figure out a little bit more who we are, find our gifts, find the things that we want to do, figure out what we want to do with our lives. What does it take to get past those things? What does it take? Let's talk more about those paths for a second. Once we get into them, right, the groove, it wears deeper, and it wears deeper, and it wears deeper, and the comfort zone gets deeper and deeper and deeper. And then the rationalization of the comfort zone gets deeper and more automatic and more automatic. And we hate that idea of looking back and admitting, yeah, that game that I was playing when I was 4 is the exact same one I'm playing now. It's only much more sophisticated. It's like we take our powerful, intelligent minds that are miraculous, and we use them to create this complex story. We all have some of this. Okay, I'm not saying this is something that ever goes away. But underneath everything that I ask anyone here to go, that they're good, that you can get them. We've been programmed, hey, need more money? Refinance your house and borrow more than it's worth and go spend it on a bunch of stuff. That'll make you happier. I read an interesting book. Can't remember. It was a book about women and what they're experiencing growing up. And is this too abstract for you? Do you understand what I'm talking about here? Is anyone confused? Is anyone frustrated? That's playing itself out. Pay attention to what's happening right now. Stay with it. All right.
Well, the frustration is that here clearly you have something that what it is.
Do you want to know what it is?
Clearly.
Do you want to get through it?
Of course.
Do we have a mic? Will you grab this mic and come join me up here for a couple of minutes?
Sure.
We're just going to rename this program Chris and Greg Transformation. Okay, talk to me a little bit about where you're at personally right now.
Abstract. I definitely think there's an abstract element to it because this block that you're talking about, it's like you're sort of like inching around it, but you can't tell, what it is, so you don't know what to do about it.
It's like someone's got you in it. That was one of almost the most elegant ways I've heard this whole process described. There's something there. You can start to sense it. and you can start to see the wall, and then your curiosity starts to build, like, what could be over there? Do I even want to look? You know, in Joseph Campbell's The Hero's Journey, Joseph Campbell wrote The Hero with a Thousand Faces. In that book, he talks about his studies traveling the world and studying world religion and finding that there's this common story that runs through everything. And in The Hero's Journey, in the beginning, the hero has to set out on their own, in this case, on his own, to find his own path in life. Joseph Campbell says in the tale of King Arthur and the Knights of the Round Table, when the knights went out to find the Holy Grail, each of them entered the woods on their own in a path where it was darkest. Had to go out on their own to find their own path. And they go through a whole process and go through trial, and they can't go back. And if they choose not to take it, their whole life changes, and they can't go back. And so when you have the wall there and you can see there's something, it's starting to materialize, I can see the wall, what could be behind there? There's a part of us that knows that if we choose to look, if we really amazing.
Yes.
Have you had relationships with those types of women?
A few.
Okay. Within those relationships with really the higher quality women, within the bounds of that relationship, do you have any consistent challenges or frustrations?
Yes.
Give me one of them.
What I've found is that anytime I'm in a situation where it is a high quality girl that I feel like is long-term potential, a lot of stuff starts to come up, and a lot of that has to do with my
Evolved women with the,
Yes.
let's pick the three best, the 2-3 best.
Okay.
What's something that's been consistent within them that has been that's come up that's been a challenge within those relationships?
Well, I'd mentioned
Right now.
Nice. Well, I react, and it might
How?
be even.
Give me the one main way you react, the one big one that you go, oh man. I'll give you an example. In my last relationship, which we'll see, this is a story that has been playing itself out for about 2.5 years now. There's someone that I'm very close to, and she and I have been together and apart and together and apart, and we stay very, very close friends wherever the relationship is. And, oh man, it would be good if she was here so you could meet her and she could come up here and we could talk about it. And I would immediately just say, why would, just the emotion comes out. What are you doing? And we'd get into our thing, and all the way through it, I'd defend my position of, I'm trying to wake you up. I'm trying to get you to stop just, doing this thing automatically. Thing may have happened with someone when you were younger on a consistent basis, or it might have just happened once, but it probably happened on a consistent basis, where they could do something, say something, and it triggered anger and frustration inside of you that might in some way be related to this. And can you think of the earliest one you can think of?
Well, I'm tempted to think of a variety of people in my family that have affected me emotionally as I was growing up. I don't know that one in particular really pops out as.
Can you think of one experience that was like this, that might just bubble up as you go back and think?
Okay.
Is there some?
I'll throw one out.
Okay.
I was raised by a single parent, and my uncle actually has been essentially a father figure as I was getting a little bit older, and I would say.
Can you remember one experience that was particularly?
Yeah, there's not one. I don't even know if this is like. It's tough to say whether it's even significant. I don't know that one is really popping out as something that's.
And for a long time, I got to hold on to. I got to tell him, so that I got to extend that whole game through a whole part of my life, and it like froze me there. But I won't go into the experience of like what happened and some of the other things. But I can remember an experience.
Be greedy too, And there's a variety of stuff happening. I mean,
Do you remember one of them that triggered that feeling that's similar to the feeling that you'd get when you were interacting with those women that you were in that relationship with?
I really want to say that this thing, and I could be wrong here, but I feel like this thing with the relationship with the women, I feel like it's new. The way that my strings were pulled whenever I was younger and whenever I was a teenager, this is different. I feel like it's far more subtle. Before I would react emotionally and I would think about it, and it would be a long. I feel like I lose power. Mm-hmm. Does that make sense?
It does. Do you get upset in your life? Do you get angry? Do you cry? Do you yell, scream? Do you do any of that stuff?
No.
No.
Not so much.
Pretty much never.
Yeah.
So the furthest you go is freeze.
Trying to smooth the waters, or maybe I was just trying to. I don't even know if it's a conscious thing that I was trying to do.
Oh no, it wasn't conscious. I'm saying now that you've grown into a, I've listened to you have conversations and so forth. You've grown into a very
sort of a feeling of helplessness.
Oh, that's a big one.
Yeah.
Do you like feeling helpless?
Not at all.
Yeah. Is it possible that when you're interacting with women now and they three brains, physical, emotional, logically, it doesn't sound to me like you've integrated it as a third of your life as a rich landscape to explore and help use within your world?
Okay.
Right? It sounds like when strong emotions come up, you immediately come up in the head and go, that sometimes. No. Now, being a person that is not helpless at all, I'll tell you, I haven't met, everyone here in this room, but if some shit were to go down in my life, all right, something bad were to happen, now that you understand him, if you want to talk to him about what was going on with Chris, and you communicate to him, you know what, I get you a little bit now, build a little rapport, he'll be able to hear you. He wouldn't have been able to before because you didn't understand him and you'd be talking from your world and not from his. You know what? Let's pause here because are you good keeping the drama going through the whole thing?
All right, let's do it.
Awesome, thank you. So that's gonna be your installment of the Greg Show.
Good
Awesome, thank you. In your own, observation, men who have had a lot of different experiences with a lot of different types of women, that later if they have a great relationship and then there's a problem and then they maybe go to therapy or whatever, that those other relationships come up and create complexity. And an issue that comes up between you and them consistently that is some type of challenge for you?
Right. My last girlfriend, and I would definitely consider her what I was looking for, the total 10.
Yeah.
And I just totally blew it in pretty much every way possible.
Good for you.
So
That's how
it feels good. And then she started going off on this little rant. She was playing the devil's advocate with me because she had the same belief I did.
Huh.
But she's like, you need to be able to understand the other person's perspective better. And I was clearly not being very empathetic. So she was trying to force me to be empathetic by arguing really strongly that, well, it feels good, and it feels good to me, so that means it's right. And
Do you know why she was upset with you?
I think she just wanted me to be able to be empathetic and to try to understand because I wasn't doing that in other areas of the relationship as well.
Wrong.
No?
Try again.
Why she was upset with me?
Yeah. Why was she?
Certainly.
Did you feel that?
Yeah, I think that's probably why I reacted the way that I did.
Okay. And do you remember how the argument went at all? I'm just curious because this is fascinating.
Probably what happened was if you keep acting.
And you're just making logic decisions, you're missing out on the richness of life that emotions can bring. And you're missing out on this whole other piece that can help you make much better decisions, can help you relate to people better. Really emotional people, in a lot of cases, they understand that and all this kind of thing. And emotional people, in a lot of ways, they know this on an intuitive level. They just get it. And so when they run into someone that's all head, they get upset. It's like you're missing this thing and you're stuck in your head and you're trying to do that head thing to control me. Now, we could probably go back into a challenge. We're trying to get in touch with, especially as men, is there an emotion that's coming up? And then we're going back, trying to see, is there a time, and especially with a woman, sometimes with a man, Is there a time when you can remember having this experience early on, or something that would be like it? It doesn't have anything to do with who's right or wrong, or the issue, or any of that stuff. And is it possible that it's not about trying to understand her and empathize with her? That isn't the game at all? Thank you for sharing. I really appreciate that. It seems like it's connected, but just it pops up. It's like your powerful unconscious mind goes back through millions and millions and millions of memories, and something just pops up. There's just a connection somehow, as if a dream.
Going back through my own issues. And one of the problems I have at the moment is I have trouble ending a relationship. I feel like I don't want to let the woman down if she's invested a lot in me or with whatever. And she'd sort of said, "Oh no, I want to keep that for tonight or something." But I just wanted it, so I kept asking, and eventually she just sort of said, "All right, you can have it then." And it was suppose it was more the tone, but my response.
Something that I don't even remember if I did or not. The event doesn't really matter if I did it or not. It's just I was accused of it, and I felt that I was unjustly accused. And now going back all the way through it, I can see now why the emotion is there. And getting more to the core of it, more labeling it, more just...
Opens up more shameless plug real quick before you start talking. Revolution is a movie that you wrote, directed, and starred in.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so you'll check it out.
Thank you for...
And yeah, so watch the movie. Who's going to watch the movie? Okay.
Wow.
Tree-hugging environmentalist. Okay, I'm not a crazy radical environmentalist type person, although I'm getting closer to that as I get older, and I see what we're doing kind of to our environment. And so I say that to you from the perspective of someone that has grown up a more intellectual, logical, skeptical, type person. And in studying animals and animal behavior, one of the things I've come across, and the only thing in its environment when it was born was a ping pong ball. So it imprinted on the ping pong ball. And as it grew up, it followed the ping pong ball around, always wanted it to be around, but we got human contact, and we got to be around our mom and nurse from her or from someone else, or had a father around, or if we were adopted, we had parent figures there. We had humans of our own species around to take care of us. We got the first imprints. We're okay. Now, for some of us, that wasn't true. Some of us had really traumatic, really early times, and that's a tough one. Energy got mixed into that experience, and there could be something that we might think of as an imprint created at that time. Okay, so I'm using this term very loosely here, through your experience, what it is that you want, the things that you're experiencing that are challenges and blocks, and go all the way back until you say, oh, now I see how we get to them. So at this point now, we can address these a little bit more